All right, we are back. So, yeah, part two of episode six. Here we are. You guys out there? All right, let's find Paul here. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Sorry about that, my man. Instagram is all about kicking you off after an hour. So, there you is. I just said there you is. And I'm talking shit about West Virginia. All right, bring the Paul back in.
All right, we're back.
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry, dude. Instagram is very, they're like,
Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't know. I don't really go live often, so I don't know much about it
I
yet.
found out the hard way, so.
Yeah, that's funny.
As you were saying with body bags.
Yeah, back to body bags. We should probably talk about this movie, I guess. Yeah, another thing I think. I mean, first of all, just the for a horror fan, I think it's just a fun movie to watch because there's every couple minutes there's like a horror Easter egg in there for fans of Wes Craven. Wes Craven pops in as like a crazy guy just at the gas station trying to buy cigarettes and stuff. But it has Sam Raimi, David Naughton from American Werewolf in London, Roger Corman's in there like real briefly.
Yeah.
They mentioned Haddonfield. I think it actually the first segment takes place in Haddonfield, so it actually isn't in the universe of Halloween even. So I think there's just lots of cool Easter eggs in there for horror fans. Another reason I think it just the first segment really because this was it came out in 1993, and I don't know if you remember like the 90s was kind of like the beginning of the downhill. Yeah, for horror was kind of going down, especially John Carpenter. He didn't have a hit in a while.
Yeah.
So this movie really just kind of got overlooked, you know what I mean? Like nobody, it was on Showtime. They just showed it on Showtime, I think. And then it had like a small VHS release. And then in the night, like DVDs, you couldn't even buy it on DVD. So it was kind of a rare movie to me, that I remember seeing as a kid. And then when I got older, I wanted to find it again. And I need to see that fucking weird John Carpenter movie. Now I couldn't find it, up until recently. Now it's on Blu-ray and I actually looked this morning. It's right on YouTube. You can just watch it on YouTube if you want.
Perfect. I was going to ask you if it was YouTube or Amazon or anything like that.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. It's on YouTube, so it's easy to find.
Dude,
I think the first segment is a kind of a masterpiece almost because it goes back to John Carpenter's roots of just building that slow, dreadful tension.
Yeah.
And it has like a really good twist at the end. It has kind of his Michael Myers-esque stalking tropes from The Killer that he hasn't done since Halloween. So I just think it's cool for that. And then the second segment, is more of like a comedy with Stacy Keach, which I think is fucking hilarious. I can watch that over and over again. And same thing, it has like a cameo with Greg Nicotero where they're, it's all about having long, beautiful hair. And Greg Nicotero like fluffing his hair out. It's just like that is hilarious to me as a horror fan, This
is like in Creepshow when the guy's like, "This hair is gonna get me paid and laid."
Yeah, I loved how men having long hair in like the 80s and 90s was like such a a vain thing.
Yeah, talk about it. Yeah, like it turned into like if you were a bad guy in an 80s movie, like both of us would be in like bad guys in
for sure.
Or
yeah,
like
put us in like suits and like slick back our hair and we can
absolutely.
be like a bad guy in any like Die Hard or something.
Like Kindergarten Cop, the bad guy in Kindergarten Cop sold that role because he was like, they're like, I don't know about you. And he's like, hang on. He's
exactly.
They're like, all right, you're hired.
Yeah, I kind of miss that shit.
Me too, man. It was so like everything was just like, it's like got a scar on my face. I'm a bad guy. Like in the 30s, it was like I have long hair in the 80s. I'm a bad guy. And but then it got into the whole thing. Like, do you remember that movie Stone Cold? Brian Bosworth.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Lance Hendrickson was like the bad guy. He was chained.
Yep.
The biker guy. There was an era where bikers have never had any reprieve. Like they've never had a reprieve from being the bad guys in movies. But like, dude, there was a cycle of biker bad guys in the 80s where like
they all had like long trench coats, rode motorcycles,
or were squeezed into like the tightest acid washed jeans you could find, like Zubaz pants.
I kind of have a movie script, like a non-horror. I mean, it definitely has horror and violence in it, but I have a movie script I've been working on that I want to eventually do as a feature, my first feature. And I kind of want to take a lot of those 80s tropes and just really build like characters out of all the bad guys and just kind of go real kind of over the top with it. You know, I love that type of stuff, man.
Yeah, man.
It's so fun.
I always love seeing people who aren't necessarily like, for example, the guy from That 70s Show. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you seem like in an evil role. You're like, what? It's I love seeing that, man. I love when people have that range. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was the shit, man. Speaking of Amazon, I've been going down that rabbit hole extensively during this quarantine.
Sure. Yeah.
Dude, I found so many cool things on there that I didn't even know existed. For example, there's one on Amazon. I think it's Amazon. It's called Ronald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected. And for those of you guys out there who don't know who Ronald Dahl is, he was a children's author. He had a book called George's Marvelous Medicine, a British guy. He had a book called The Twits. And I remember being a kid, and I think he had one called The Vampire Moves In. And these were all books when I was a kid that were like extremely popular. So when I saw Ronald Dahl's name, I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
And I turned it on, and it's kind of what you're talking about. It's not so much like an anthology as much as it is recurrent episodes where he introduces the stories. And the very first episode was one that he had written. And I forgot the name of it, but I immediately recognized it. If you've seen Four Rooms with Tim Roth,
Great, yeah,
Quentin Tarantino, there's that episode where the knife through the hand, you know what I mean? And they're doing that whole thing.
Sure,
he's
yeah.
no, he's going to cut the thumb off.
Yeah.
He couldn't do the lighter. That's what it is.
Yep.
I was thinking of Total Recall, but he was like, if you can't do this lighter 10 times, then you have to cut your finger off. That was that episode. I was like, this is crazy. It was from the 70s. So apparently that's where Quentin Tarantino got that idea. And so I've been going down that whole rabbit hole like nonstop here, man.
Yeah, I watched I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there's a great documentary on like 80s horror called In Search of Darkness.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I watched that a few weeks ago. So it sucked me back into the whole. I've been doing the Nightmare on Elm Street series, just anything like super poppy 80s horror. I've been just kind of watching while I'm printing T-shirts and then whatever, just put it on in the background. So that's kind of my binge, but I've just been so busy with the shirt stuff. That's all I can do is put it on while I'm working.
Yeah, dude. You brought up, you made me think of something too when you were talking about like the 90s kind of hitting the lull and how Carpenter with Body Bags, how that kind of like gave a little bit of a kickstart to that whole trope. I don't know how you feel. I don't think I've ever asked you this, but because I know you're a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan, but when New Nightmare came out, like maybe it was just because I was 17 years old, and I saw that in the theater. It was awesome. I thought that was like such a breath of fresh air, man, for that franchise.
Yeah, New Nightmare, every time I watch it, I love it more. It's one of those movies. I think it was a little too meta and a little too smart of a movie to be a slasher horror movie.
Right.
And I mean, I think it could have used a little bit more horror, original like Nightmare on Elm Street elements. Maybe that's what it's missing, why it wasn't such a big hit. But I think the story and just, it's almost like a fan service too. It's like a movie for the fans in a way too. And it really is a great movie. I would rate that movie higher on the list, for Nightmare on Elm Street movies, like than I would, before. Like it's definitely like maybe like my second or third of them now,
Well, it seemed like it was the first time anyone, director-wise, in terms of slasher, genres, had broke down the fourth wall. Do you know what I mean? Like to where it became more.
For sure. It was definitely like the precursor for when he did Scream, and then things definitely got more and more meta. You started seeing the slasher resurgence, which I enjoyed because I always loved, as an 80s kid, I loved the slasher shit. So it was cool to see, but it just felt like such a watered down version of what I was used to getting as a kid,
I'm the same way, man. But I think it grew on me just because, like, I felt like it was watered down to a degree, but it's almost like that genre, not that genre, but that whole series, like it didn't really have anywhere else to go, man. You know what I mean?
Oh no, by Freddy's Dead, they sucked it dry. It was so silly. So it was cool to see Wes come back and he had a fresh idea.
Yeah.
And another thing with that movie is like sometimes I watch it and I love like how Freddy looks, you know what I mean? And then sometimes I watch it and I'm like, he's a little too like comic booky, you know what I mean? Like they could have went back to a scarier, realistic, like kind of look that he had in the first two movies or something.
He's more. He always reminded me kind of in A New Nightmare as like this weird, like goonish kind of like Dick Tracy villain.
Exactly, yeah. Like,
You know what I mean?
sometimes
Like,
I like the trench coat and the whole look, and sometimes he's just too cartoony looking or something.
yeah. But again, I think for me, again, and it's probably the same with music. I say it to people all the time. Like they're like, oh, you like you like this band or that band? Some bands, Same with movies that they're not really like within your wheelhouse, but I think it's all where you were and who you were when you watched them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, there's so many movies that I saw as a kid. Honestly, New Nightmare was one of them. Maybe I was too young and I just didn't quite get all the stuff that was like kind of going on in it. And I wanted more of maybe the slapstick Freddy because I was younger at the time, But yeah, there's so many movies that when it came out, even like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as a kid. And I'm like, why is it so silly? And like, you know what I mean? But now I'm like, I think I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Or I like watching it more than the original. I think the original is obviously one of the masterpiece. It can't be touched. But the second one is just such a fun movie to watch.
And that's you brought up a really good point with the Nightmare franchise, how I didn't know this, and I'm sure you know this, but for everyone else out there who may not know this, which you may know it, I often wondered why they got kind of comedic, and from what I heard later on was that Robert Englund was like, look dude, I'm 24/7 in the mindset of a psychopath child killer. I'm an actor, so I kind of have to get in that headspace to create this character. I mean, that guy had no reprieve. He was they were churning out new Nightmare on Elm Street movies every year for like a decade, man. So he was like, if I'm going to keep
and also I think they realized merchandising, he was starting to appeal more to kids, so I think that had a little bit more to do. Let's turn him into more of a Bugs Bunny character to sell some more merch and stuff, because he was one of the first ones to really at least a horror, like kind of get all of his own toys and get all that shit kind of rolling.
Right.
Now it's a huge thing, but yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it, which is why New Nightmare is good. He tried to go back and at least make it, scary and at least thoughtful, because the first one was a very thoughtful, movie. He's saying a lot in that movie.
And I agree, and I feel like I think one of the underrated qualities of New Nightmare, what it did was it solidified the legend, the Freddy legend. So keep in mind, like we're coming off the heels of the 80s into the early 90s where you're living in it. There's no distance to have perspective of what this genre, this series is. But when you come along and you have a movie like New Nightmare that more or less creates a legend out of Freddy, then suddenly you start to look at those earlier movies in a different lens. You're like, wow, these are like a legendary, you know what I mean? It's like a subtle kind of rewiring of how you start to feel movies.
I love when they add some cool like mythos into it. I mean, if you're gonna do something, at least add to it. Same with Jason Goes to Hell. That's like one of those movies where a lot of people either love it or hate it, but I think it's a fun movie too, and it adds some like mythology to his character and makes him a little more supernatural. I mean, he was already going that way anyway, so
yeah.
And that's all fun in their own ways.
That's the bottom line, man. Fun. They've got to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made that survive, that whole genre. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, dude, I don't want to keep you on here. I mean, we can keep going, but if you,
yeah, I feel like we could talk about this shit for hours and hours.
You're a busy man over there, and I don't want to hold you up by any means.
It's all good. Yeah, I just got to get back to mailing prints and T-shirts. I think the only place I've been in the last 3 months is the fucking post office every single day. But I appreciate anyone who's bought a T-shirt or a print from me in the last few months. I appreciate it because you're keeping me busy and helping the shop stay open.
Well, tell everyone out there. So the website, where can everyone go to get the shirts and all?
It's theseancebrand.com.
Awesome. Seancebrand.com. Go check it out.
Yeah, we got pretty much new shirts dropping like every week for who knows how long. And I'm trying to do all different types of stuff. We got pins, patches, all kinds of just like random horror shit coming. We got these cool, speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, we got these cool pillowcases in the works where it's going to say Never Sleep Again with like the Freddy slashes with the pillow, the feathers coming out.
Perfect.
So, yeah, we're just trying to do some cool stuff that, you know, I would like to see or have in my house.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you, man, whenever this thing clears up, if and when the world ever gets back to relative normalcy.
Yeah, man, I would love to catch up when you're in Philly, when you're playing playing shows again.
I will come down and I will see you, man. And
yeah. It's been a pleasure, man.
Likewise, man. Tell Sambolino we say hello.
For sure. Say hi to Jordan.
All right, man. We'll do.
All right, cool.
Thank you so much, man. And I will talk to you soon.
All right, later, bro.
Later, homie. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mr. Paul Acker. Everyone give a round of applause to Mr. Paul Acker. Paul Acker. Bueller. All right, so you guys still with me here? All right. So listen, I'm going to jump in here and let's see if we got any questions. All right, I would apologize for the long espousing of horror movies, but I think you guys at this point should know that's coming. So let's see here. Wrong Turn movies. Yeah, they're okay. They're pretty good. They're set in West Virginia, so, you know, partial. There you go. Let's see, what else have I missed? All right, so in case you guys didn't catch that earlier, the movie that he's talking about is Body Bags. So there you go. Check it out. All right, Fiona wants to talk about Les Diaboliques. Yes. So last week's movie was Les Diaboliques. Did you guys, who saw it? Yeah, there have been a lot of questions. I'm sorry. We've been down that Nightmare on Elm Street hole. So Les Diaboliques, if you guys saw that, then you saw a really awesome movie. If not, shame on you. I really think that Diabolique is probably one of the best movies I think I've ever seen. I'll tell you why. Number one, it's not a horror movie, but it's probably better than a lot of horror movies that were trying to be a horror movie in that genre in that time. And I think a lot of that comes down to the story. It's a very well-crafted story to begin with. I don't want to give it away if you guys didn't see it. There are a lot of twists in that movie, right? With a twist. It's like M. Night Shyamalan of 1955. Yeah, the twist at the end, it's like you kind of know, but you don't at the same time, right? But there's some genuinely scary scenes in that movie, I feel like. I mentioned last week the bathtub, when the character of Michelle, he comes out of the bathtub at the end and he has the contacts in. Like, that's so like poignant, so like visually just like it captures that moment so well. Yeah, the reveal in the pool was definitely way ahead of its time. I thought so too. Yeah, and the lighting was so good in that movie in terms of the approach. Like the hallways, you could see the depth. You know, you could really feel the emptiness and the vastness and the just open uncertainty as, Simone Sigourney's character's walking down the hallway. And those contacts did look like pain, man. When that guy popped those out, did you see him? Holy shit. I thought Michael Jackson's contacts in Thriller, like when they were doing that, I thought those were like, it's like someone taking this mouse and putting it in your eye. It was insane. So, yeah, the remakes, they were cool, right? It's just, there's something about that one, man. It's the time, the place, Long Dark Hallway. That could be where that came from. An interesting thing, though, about Diabolique is it's kind of why we have Psycho. First off, the director Henri Clouzot, he beat Alfred Hitchcock to the screenplay. Like, Hitchcock was like, I want that movie. that was going to be his Psycho, but Clouseau got it. So that's when Hitchcock had to like turn to another option, and he consulted Robert Bloch, who wrote Psycho, right? And that's how that all came about. Interestingly enough, too, Robert Bloch cites Diaboliques as his all-time favorite movie. So there's a lot of history that's hinged on, I guess, the perpetual release of that movie. So yeah, someone said the contacts look like ping pong balls. I have no idea what they use for contacts in that. That was insane. Someone's asking about the Groovy Ghoulies. Yeah, man, we played some shows with those guys quite a bit up in like Indiana and Ohio. It's cool with me. From my experience, personal experience, yeah, they're cool. I have seen I Bury the Living. That is a good one. Yeah, totally. The Hitchcock suspense is in that movie, and you could see it. You could see that's exactly where Psycho got a lot of its build. It's growth and all that stuff. So yeah, so I'm glad you guys liked that, man. I stumbled upon that movie. I got like a bargain basement copy of it from FYE. It was one of those deals where it was on VHS for like $2, and I got it on a whim. It was a terrible print. I thought the story was great, but then when I saw the Criterion collection, Criterion does a lot of good work in terms of putting out restored versions of movies that otherwise just look like garbage in most of the versions that are out. So if you get a chance to watch the Criterion collection, that's a really good one too. So awesome. All right, you guys, I'm going to play you one more song. All right. What would I recommend you watch this evening? Body Bags. So I had another one for you guys, but I'm going to wait till next week. All right. And I'll drop it on you. One of my personal favorites. So yeah, Criterion Channel. So we used to get I don't know if you guys had this when it was around, but there was a channel called Filmstruck, and it was more or less Turner Classic Movies. TCM always around Halloween would have the best movies. I mean, things that you couldn't see really generally. I don't even want to say it on cable, but even on some streaming services. A lot of deep cuts. So yeah, Filmstruck was amazing. They had it on Filmstruck for a while, so RIP Filmstruck. It's unfortunate. They had a lot of good stuff on there. So they went the way of most, startup boutique streaming services, unfortunately. Yeah, Filmstruck. See, Rob knows. I know, man. It was really sad. I got so into that too. There's a lot of good movies on there. A lot of good Japanese horror movies too from the 50s. Like there's another one. I don't want to get into it, but there's one about Kuroneko, which is like Black Cat. That's a really fucked up movie for the time. We'll talk about that. Don't jump ahead. So, what's up, man? How you doing, Mexico? All right, so I'm gonna play you guys a song and let you get about your Monday night because I know I've kept you here for a couple hours. But thank you, as always, every week once again for being here. All right. All right. Let's see. What are we gonna do? Do I have any requests out there? Patches. Got some stuff coming out. So, Wikipedia page that I mentioned earlier. It's called Lake Shawnee. SHAWNEE, and that is more or less where I'm from. It's a town in Spanishburg. It's a small area of a town in a city called Spanishburg that's near Bluefield, and you'll read all about it, but it explains a lot. Yeah, Desi Lou said the trunk, like straight up. Like since you guys mentioned that, I'm not even gonna lie, and I know it seems like just. Of course, like it would be because I'm talking about Diabolique, but I think a lot of that imagery was kind of in the back of my mind when I wrote that song. It wasn't necessarily about Diabolique, but obviously you can see where some of that was played in the subconscious. So, all right, here we go. Oh, I don't know why she goes. It's been this way for years, nobody knows. I'm not gonna try to find out why she runs off out in the middle of the night. Then one day we'll heard her say, now come with me, boy, follow me this way. I take you to a place along the way, and it's never gonna be the same. You guys gotta sing the chorus. Somebody typing. Now we both hang out there. Some people don't understand, I guess they're scared. I'm on the tombstone sitting in the rain, cause the dead don't treat us bad, call us names. Yeah, you might find it strange, but I just can't find the time to explain. I'm on the tombstone sitting in the rain, and you feel no pain, come on. There it is. Type faster. Let's go, yeah, to the cemetery, go, yeah, to the cemetery, go, to the cemetery, go. Whoa. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. For all you Germans out there, Las uns, cemetery, solitude, cemetery. Solitude, cemetery, solitude, cemetery now, solitude, my home, home. One more. Is that loud enough right there? Las uns sind the Friedhofgehen. I think I have my amp too loud, so I'll play you guys one more, all right? Is that cool? And I'm going to bounce out of here. I lied. You can't go that soon. All right. I will try to turn my shit down a little bit. All right. Yeah, boy. The trunk, oh my God. I gotta remember this one. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. This is how it goes. My love of desperation found it. It's been a little while. Played Marion Storm last week. All right, I'm gonna try the trunk. I'm going to attempt the trunk. I'm going to attempt it. All right. I guess the time's come for me to leave you, darling. The road is up ahead while you're kept in this trunk behind. I'm undertaking you with me as I flee for Sweden. But baggage held in life is baggage held in death. I never wanted for a pain aside from laughter. I wanted nothing but to melt your snow. That something took your gaze from me and left me bleeding. I send a postcard to your memory. My knife of desperation parted on your wrist and smile. So many steps and each one taken, thinking of you for miles. I know my heart will know, no matter if I leave for Sweden, that you're here left behind, your pants cry, your body's missing. I sense the coming of long nights, the weather's changing, it's getting darker in our happy home. Well, soon they'll find my display of heartache, wooden lock and key. My knife of desperation parted on your wristed smile. So many steps and each one taken, thinking of you for miles. I know my heart would know, no matter if I flee for Sweden, that your head kept behind, your parents cry, your body's missing. I'm hoping the opening of the trunk is something they don't think of. Contorted, paralyzed my pain. And in the clouds I might find me, for I am too locked away, 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 inside the trunk, away, butchered that one. But I got the last chord right. Woo! There, I butchered the trunk. Appropriately so. Fittingly so. I gotta be honest with you, I probably haven't played that song in maybe 4 years. So now you can die happy, Mr. Johnny Cakes. Awesome. Yeah, we'll do a trunk redo on that one a few episodes from now. So what's it say? And then of course there's live hollow bodies. It sounds like it was recorded on a potato. Right? It probably was. You might be right. That was recorded in a cinder block room full of people with a Tascam cassette recorder. So yes, a potato is probably right. There may have been a potato there. Yeah, we'll play the trunk, man. I'll brush up on that one, and we'll do that maybe at the VIP. You know what I mean? When we sit down and get a little circle going. So again, we're still planning on going on tour this fall. As far as I know, everything's good to go. We are going to have, as a lot of you guys know, a lot of you guys were already a part of, thank you very much, the VIPs, where we're going to sit around and play some acoustic songs much like we are right now. So hopefully we'll see you guys then. So Fiona's asking, did I find the graveyard picture that we were talking about last week? I have a very pixelated, really badly affected one from our original website. I contacted our old webmaster. He hasn't turned it up yet, but from what I understand, talking to TB, is that they're at his mother's house, like the actual photos, the ones that I'm thinking of. Like there's still a stack of them, like up in a cabinet somewhere in like the kitchen or something. So last I spoke to TB, he's going to head over that way at some point, sooner rather than later, hopefully, and pick them up. And then when we get them, we'll scan them. And believe me, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging on that. So. No, I'm not going to be playing with Michael Graves on the next tour, but I may be dropping in or something on some of the things that they're doing live here soon. So if you're doing something with them VIP-wise, I might pop in. So yeah, blurry evidence of a Bigfoot. I'll post it. I debated on posting what I had, but I don't want to take away from the picture, like the full value of it. So I kind of just want to wait till you guys can see it, because the battle axe with my initials actually, emblazoned into the axe is much better than the pixelated version. Like it's just a whole different level. So yeah, it's good. It's a good times. So yeah, Tampa and Orlando. So the Tampa show got moved to the Orpheum, I believe. We're no longer at Crowbar. That's one of the only things that changed really in terms of this coming up tour venue-wise. So I missed your question, Boba Strivagoni. Sorry, I missed out here. Yeah, KC's gonna be good, man. It's been a while since we've been to KC, like straight up. To the Wayback Machine. That's a frequently traveled machine in my life. So Richmond, all right. Wonderland. That's where Emilio Mins almost knocked my eyeball out on stage. We'll have to bring Emilio on here. We could talk about that. Shadow Windhawk, yes. We're going to make that happen. He's going to be coming on here. So, hey, Romper Grimm's, she's hungry as fuck. She's going to bounce. Thank you for coming. Thanks for tuning in. I know it's late over there, so appreciate it. Yeah, we'd be at the Brower House, man. I think we were playing... I don't think we were playing Brower House. Brower House isn't there anymore. So, but we were going to be in, Chicagoland. Oh, Goolsby Graves stream next Monday. Yeah, I can talk to Michael. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Amelia too. So, all right, you guys. Hopefully, I didn't run you off with that horrid rendition of The Trunk. It's one thing when you mess up like a song, which like I do all the time. It's another thing when you mess up your own song, right? But that's why you got toes. You got to keep on 'em. I appreciate you guys for keeping me on them. So anyway, you guys, thank you very much for coming out tonight, or joining me here tonight. Actually, not going out, staying in with me tonight. Thanks to Mr. Paul Acker, for coming on here and waxing poetic with me on some horror movies. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for the requests. I appreciate the interest. I really do. Thank you for constantly and continually like showing love and interest in all this. It means a lot. I love what I do, and it matters a lot to me that you do too. I feel like Mr. Rogers right now, like putting my guitar down. I need a cardigan. I definitely need a new shirt, that's for sure. So I'm putting my cardigan on, and I just want you guys to know that I like you the way you are. And A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all that fun stuff. Books, check them out. And I'll see you guys next week, all right? So long live the horror. Have a good night. Bye.